Hello, welcome to Microsoft Community Insights podcast, where we share insights from community experts to stay up to date in Microsoft. Today we will dive into we have a special guest called Johan Smarius. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong, and he would we will dive into GitHub Copilot agent. So, could you please introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. I'm Johan. I've been a developer for nearly 30 years now, and I do a lot of work on the .NET space. I work for a Dutch company, Berkler, where I am a principal consultant. And yeah, I do a lot of things around .NET, but I do start to get more and more involved in using AI in different companies. And where even different companies ask, well, can you please train us in how to apply AI in our development process? Because, yeah, simply booting up Copilot and simply start adding some prompts to it, well, it does work, but it's not that well performant. So, yeah, I really like what I do. I like what the industry is moving towards. And I know that's quite a scary thing for a lot of developers who think, well, okay, will AI replace me? Well, as I always tell during trainings as well, and during all kinds of conferences that I speak at, I don't believe that AI will replace us, but you will be replaced by a developer who knows how to manage and work efficiently with AI if you don't pay attention to your skill set.
Yeah. So, I think what Johan said is that you need to learn AI in order to keep up to date with the industry. Because if you don't know AI and someone else know AI, they will be above you. So you still have to learn how to use it. Because even things like GitHub Copilot, it still works with .NET. So you still have to make sure it's best use it the best of ability. So think of it like assistant or another best friend.
Oh, definitely. Consider it the best comparisons I can give is compare it to a junior developer joining your team.
Yeah.
A junior developer can do wonders for your team, but he or she still needs a bit of steering and a bit of coaching to get the job really done and the way that you really want it, because it's pretty difficult and there are so many different variables to consider when building a software system. Simply allowing AI to generate it for you, okay, it will come up with some kind of solution, but will it be the solution that you are really looking for? And not
Yeah.
only just now, but will it actually work in the future as well?
Yeah, so that's why it's important to have human in the loop, whether it's to check the code, to check whether it's correct, the one that you intended to. So it's very crucial. So last few months, so I think last year there was GitHub Universe released, and there were so many changes happen on the universe with lots of like introduced with custom copilots and stuff. Before we dive into like GitHub custom copilot, do you want to just uh, tell us how do you use GitHub Copilot at your workplace on day to day?
Okay, how do I use it? It really depends a bit to what extent I can use it. What I do see is that the adoption, at least in the Netherlands where I live, in companies is, well, changing a bit. Some companies are quite reluctant to actually allow developers to use AI. And then I hope to convince them that it really will help you in your workflow and will improve your performance. And then I can't use it that much. For other companies that I work for, it's just fine and I can use whatever I want. And I must say the biggest advantages and the biggest knowledge I get, next to my regular job, I also do some work for charities because they simply don't have the money to pay for a consultant. And they do have some kind of software system that they would love to have built. But that's just me. And I only have limited hours. So in those projects, I really let AI help me and even let it steer a lot of the development, because then I can make good progress in the limited hours that I have.
Okay, that's amazing. So, is there any particular features or aspect of Git Copilot agent mode that you like or you use the
Um,
most?
what I like the most, at least what was released recently, is the combination between the plan and the agent mode. Agent mode does a lot, but if you really want it to research your code base and really wants to come up with a good plan before it starts actually changing code, I love the combination of starting with a plan, making sure that the plan is correct. And yes, that is your responsibility as an engineer who is actually entering the prompt. And then from the plan, start in agent mode and start really generating the code that you really want. And I must say, if I look back at about a year ago, I was not that confident about the code that got generated at first. If I now look at the code that is produced, well, I really like it most of the time. And yes, there are still some bugs in it, and yes, you still have to steer it and update it a bit, but it's quite decent code. And that's what I really love about it as well. The actual quality of the code generation is so much improved over the last months that I would say it's now really usable, where it was once, okay, nice to have for generating a test, a unit test, but now you can really work with it, and you can really work with it on larger topics. But yes, you still need to steer it, and yes, you still need to think about how will I divide everything, because simply putting in a project plan and hitting the run button, that still doesn't work.
Yeah, it's similar to the phrase "garbage in, garbage out." Depends what you
Yep,
put in the
definitely.
prompt. You get something bad return because you still have to like adjust the prompt how you want it, adjust the custom like agent how you need it to be. Whether it's a sales agent, you just as long as you adjust it, you'll get what you need.
Yep, and that's what good is as well about the changes that are coming now to GitHub, or are actually part of GitHub, that you can create those custom agents where you can actually configure them what you want them to be able to do. And otherwise, you would simply have the regular agent have to do everything. And yes, you can hook up some MCP servers and hope that it works. But you do need to have some a bit more steering and possibilities to actually adjust. And I must say, in the newer versions, that really is a big advantage.
Yeah. So I think you wanted to show us some like custom agent and things that you did at work. So let's just bring up your screen.
Yes, perfect. Then I'll simply move this one out of the way because we don't need it. Okay, some things that you can do. And what I do, I am going to show you not a thing that I am building for a regular customer, because I would probably get into big trouble about non-disclosures and things like that. But this is a project that I've started working on, I think closely after Christmas. And I will show you what it does. Keep in mind that I, at the top, spent about, I think, max 2 working days on this project. So let's simply wait. It does have to come up. Okay. And this is one of the applications that I'm building for a charity, because I'm not quite sure what the situation will be across the world, but the medical teams in the Netherlands are trained with training actors. And training actors, you will have to give them ask an assignment. So simply put up a planning and assign people to it. Well, my wife is one of the coordinators of such a charity, and she asked me, can you build something for me to help aid my planning? Well, this is it. It's written entirely in Dutch, so don't worry about too much about the different terms. But what you can see here is I do have a dashboard with the assignments that are coming up. I can see the assignments themselves with different layouts. I can even use a calendar layout. I have the ability to show my staff. I can see my customers. I even have some overview about how many hours each person put in. And I have an approval flow for the users because you work with employees and we don't have that much of a system. We don't have Entra ID, for instance. So what we have is this system, and people can simply say, well, I want to register for it, but the admin does have to approve because I don't want just a person from the internet asking and getting access to the system. Okay, so this is, I think, about 95% built using GitHub Copilot agent. Okay, shut it down. And what I want you to show, because there are some very nice things that we can show in this entire application. Well, I'm going to stop this one. And I'm not going to talk about the regular agent and the regular plan because I think that most people do know how to use them. The regular agent is quite nice, but if we go over some improvements, the regular agent really helps me if I want to do a thing during my working moments and I can work on one topic at the same time. That's quite nice. It's not always what I want. So there is now a thing called a background agent. And I can simply push it and say, well, okay, I want you to start working on a certain task. And let's simply finish it. And then I can review it.
This is quite similar to like daemon set. Just work something in the background while you're working on something else.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Never knew that exists. Nice.
And I don't want to show you it in real time because that will take quite some time. But what I did at the end of the afternoon, I kicked off an agent. And what I said, I gave it a prompt. And what I did simply said, well, okay, I want the application's UI to be in English as well. And the user must be able to switch. And I want the settings to be, and that should be in the header. And I only want certain pages to be translated. And code should be left untouched. Well, I left it running. And I left it running, and I left it running, and I left it running. And in the end, it did produce some output. Still didn't work entirely, but then again, this took me about half an hour in the background. And there's no way that I can do the same amount of work if I go for my normal working hours. Then I wouldn't have to realize this. One experience that I do have with this one, normally, if you are using agents, you do have to confirm that they have to execute certain commands. And if you really want to get the best out of the background agents, you do have to make the decision, will I allow certain commands to be run out automatically? Or do I still want to hit that, yes, you can do this button? Because that will slow the agent down. So you do really have to make sure that you are quite aware of what the agent can do and that you trust the agent, because let's be honest, if I write an agent and that will simply say, remove every document from your documents folder, and I say, well, okay, you can do that and you don't have to ask it me again. Yeah, then it will be able to delete all those files from your documents folder, and you don't want the agent to do that. So you do have to make a decision, what am I comfortable with that the agent can do in the background? Okay,
Did you have to use any like custom like Copilot or custom agent, or you could did you or whether it's instruction.txt instruction file or agent.md to structure this application and how
Now,
you want it?
what I did do, and I would always recommend that, is put in a Copilot instructions file. And if you can see, there's a general description of what this application should do. There are some guidelines for the design. There's some features, coding standards. Very important. What kind of commands can the agent use? Well, this is built around a CQRS architecture. So there's some information there. And the good part is 90% of this instructions file has been generated with GitHub Copilot.
Nice.
Because I thought, well, okay, this is what I want to do. And I simply said, well, okay, I already have some classes in my workspace that comply with what I want. So it does have some examples. I said, well, based on those examples, generate the instructions file. And in a few minutes, I had quite an elaborate instructions file. And if you look at it, what would it be? I think about 500 lines of code or even more. Well, yeah, 640. Only 5 minutes of work.
Okay.
And it really benefits the code gen that Copilot will do during all the other things. Okay. So the instructions file helps you. The parallel instructions help you. There are some other things that I want to show you. Because this is my GitHub repo for this project. And what you can do, and what is quite nice, you can do this in code as well, but I will show you this in the GitHub interface. I could simply create a new issue and describe it and put in acceptance criteria. And if I can say where to do I want to assign it, I want to assign it to Copilot.
Yeah.
And then I can simply hit create and forget about it. Well, I did this in advance as well, because what I did, there was still a thing going on. There was a bug that staff members and customers were shown on the staff page. During the small demo, you probably wouldn't have recognized it, but there was a bug. So what did I do? I created an issue. Let me first show you the issue. And I said, well, okay, I only want to see the clients, and these are my acceptance criteria. Okay, so it started working, and it came up with a pull request, and at the end, this is my pull request. So it really describes what kind of changes that did it do, and okay, what got changed, and now I can even say, okay, do I want to merge it or not? In this case, what I had anticipated that it would change the user interface as well. And if you have a change in the user interface, you will have that the MCP Playwright server will be launched as well. And you will see different screenshots appear during your pull request review. So you can automatically see, okay, this works. I haven't tried it yet, but should I? No, I did abort this one down. It's too bad. I did abort this one, but you will see screenshots from the changes that actually Copilot made. So that is really a booster in your productivity. So now I can work on the things that I think are very important and are very difficult and really require me as a human, and simply hand the other things over to Copilot.
Yeah. Have you considered using the GitHub Copilot coding agent?
This is the coding agent.
It's quite similar. Yeah, I think it is.
So you will see that a lot of things, and I can't show you my mails, but you will see a lot of things that happening with GitHub Copilot, that I see the coding agent saying, well, okay, I finished this, review. This will mean that the job of you as a developer will change, because you not only write code and you review some of the code changes of your coworkers, but if you do this at a large scale, your job will be that you do a lot of code reviews and less own coding. So you do have to be aware of it. And what you also need to be aware of, this, of course, always starts out with a certain branch. And it starts working off a certain branch. If you do not plan your issues and the issues you assign to Copilot correctly, you will get merge conflicts. And I know, I've done it, I've been there. That's not a lot of fun, especially because you don't write the code yourself. You let Copilot generate it. So you're not that familiar with the code that you see. But that will mean that you have to merge the code and work around the merge problems yourself. So that's sometimes a bit of a difficulty. So my advice would be, if you use it at a large scale, do make sure that the expectation that you have, that which parts of the code will change, that this doesn't interfere with what you do in sequence.
Yeah. So never ever merge PR that Copilot created for you without reviewing it and checking and testing it whether it's working, because you're the reviewer. It's your code.
It's your code. You are the owner. Consider it to be a junior developer. There's no way that I would trust a junior developer to simply, if I get a pull request from a junior developer, that I will say, well, okay, you know what? I don't have time for it, accept the changes. I would never do that. Then I would rather delay it for another day and wait for it, that I do have the time to change it and properly review it, but never apply it directly to your code. Because, and in the end, once I release a certain application, and if it doesn't work, the customer will call me. It will not call GitHub Copilot. It will call me and start yelling at me that my application doesn't work. And that those are not the conversations that I love having.
Yeah, that's true. So recently, I think a few months ago, GitHub Copilot released something like spec-driven development from prototype to production. It's called Spec Kit. You say you've done something. Do you want to just show us what you've done?
Yeah, I do want to show you what I have done there. But at first, I wanted to show you a basis of that, because then you can understand what it really does. Because what you can do is you can build your own custom agents. And you can do that in Visual Studio Code. You can do that in Visual Studio. You can do that on the website. It doesn't really matter. So what it does here is create a new agent. And I can put it in my user data. I can share it in my code. I prefer to share it in the code, because then everyone in my team can profit from the same. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it code cleanup. Okay, and what it will do, what will this custom agent do? Well,
so this is just custom agent, guys. There's nothing to do with Spec Kit after. He's going to show us some Spec Kit afterwards.
I'm going to show
how
you
can create custom agent in GitHub Copilot. Just to avoid confusion.
Yeah, to avoid confusion, because if you understand what a custom agent is, then you can really appreciate what Spec Kit is doing. Okay. I will check what can it do. Well, I wanted to read, I wanted to edit, and okay, it can use VS Code features. I'm fine with it. It can fetch information from the web. I'm fine with it, and I always include Microsoft Learn. Okay, and what I'm now going to do, I'm ultimately lazy. So what I did, and what I'll simply do is I'll grab this one. And I don't even need agent mode for it. I can simply put in this one. I can even put it simply in edit mode. Nah, I'll stick with agent mode. Okay. And what I say is I do want a prompt to be generated. Okay, so what I want to have a custom agent that will help me perform code cleanup. So remove unused variables, sort things, all that stuff that normally works great from an IDE and which you can do in Visual Studio Code as well, but with a lot of things that I need to do on my own. And I don't want that. I'm lazy, so I really want a Copilot a custom agent to be able to do that. So it's going to think a bit. This is going to take a few minutes. Several sections. This is always the downside of displaying or demoing AI stuff real time. You never know how long it will take and if you will get a timeout. Just wait for it. That's the downside of doing this in real time. Normally, what I do and what I will show you for SpecKit is I re-record this and then I'll simply advance the time a bit because then otherwise you do have to wait a long, long time. Okay, but it does give me a lot. Okay, so when to use inputs, outputs, tools it may call, operating, that it even will do a build and test and format, and there's some rules around async await, best practices, that it should use solid principles, formatting, verification. So there's a lot of things that I get now out of the box and that I can actually add. And what is the good part of it? I can simply say, well, I want to pick this custom agent and say perform cleanup on, I do have the entities folder. Okay. And now it will use my custom agent with all the customizations that I have made to simply check my code and fix it if there are any code violations. Doing this in a regular agent and specifying all the things that I need, yes, you can do that. Yes, you can use custom instructions files, but this is a lot easier to do, especially because I can steer what kind of tools I want the agent to be able to use. So we'll simply let this run because it will check no problems found. That's what I thought it would do. Entities is quite clean at the moment. But what I want to show you, what if you can take this one step further? Well, and that's why I wanted to show you SpecKit. SpecKit is still in preview, and the difficult thing in using AI is always prompting. How to write a good prompt. Because, let's be honest, what we want is we want to specify what the application should do. Well, let's simply view what will happen. SpecKit will come in a number of different phases. The first one, you do have to initialize it, that the environment knows that you are willing to work with SpecKit, and in this case, simply on an empty folder. So I do specify init with a dot. I can specify my AI agent. It will generate some information already, and you will see the .specify folder that appears. Okay. Now you do have to define your constitution, your coding, your project principle. So everything that applies to the project as a whole, not specific individual components, but for the project as a whole. And in this case, I simply specified I want C#10, a clean coding, CQRS, a test-driven development approach. And what it will do is then generate those things in Markdown. And after that, you can start specifying. So I can start specifying what I want. So what I simply said I want, in this case, I want to have a to-do app. Oh, and then it will start generating a lot of things again. And just wait for it. Because it will. This is all enhanced with about 10 times. If you have your specification, you can ask SpecKit to clarify. So it will analyze the specifications and ask questions of the things that are not apparent to SpecKit. And you will see it came up with 5 questions. How do you want things, simple things to do, which you normally would love a developer to ask to the client. Based on the specifications, it will start creating a plan. And because that it's all recorded in Markdown, if you have a session break, it's not a problem. You can simply return to where you were and simply continue from that point onward. So it's still generating. Still. This takes a bit of time. And for your indication, this entire process took around 40 minutes. Okay, so it came up. From the plan, I can generate tasks. And there's nothing that I have to do. I can simply use a custom agent to do every single step. That's why I wanted to show you the custom agents at first, because then you understand what it will do. And now you come to the point where you can actually start implementing the code and start generating the code. And you can do that in different phases. And you will see that from time to time, it will simply say, okay, I have come up with a certain solution, and now I want you to start testing it and to verify that it works. You could even enhance this, but I'm not quite sure if SpecKit can do this at the moment. Enhance it with, for instance, Playwright to do that automatically for you, because that's what you have with the agent, the code agent that is running in GitHub on the server. It will actually use Playwright to verify if it really does work. Well, my first to-do list, only after, I guess, about 10 minutes. And it will show it again in the local browser.
Okay, so for those who want to learn about SpecKit, GitHub a repo. So if you type SpecKit on Google, it'll come up with the repo,
Yeah,
and then you can just learn about
and
give you some guide to just learn it.
Yeah, and there are some very good videos as well. Of course, I show you now this for using it on a new project. There's also videos about from the team how to apply it from an existing project, because let's be honest, a lot of us don't work on greenfield software anyway. So you do have your existing software, and they even have some guidance how you can apply it in your existing software. What I did, because you will see that the video paused, I did pause it on purpose. There is one downside of SpecKit. If you, of course, look at the premium requests that you have, it will use a lot of premium requests. So therefore, I stopped it at a certain point where I thought, well, okay, you came quite somewhere that you can actually see what kind of interface that thing can do and build automatically, without burning all my premium requests, because they will only get renewed in February 1st. So I do have to have some premium requests left to do my production work. But this really is quite a nice thing to keep in mind. This is preview. I can't tell you what will happen. It's still a Microsoft product. It might get cancelled. It might be evolving into a release. I'm not quite sure, but it looks really, really promising. So if you are really into vibe coding and having an AI do some of your work, do keep a close eye on SpecKit and how it evolves in the future.
Yep, and you can do that by just I think just keep an eye on the change logs on the GitHub itself and see what's been changes.
Definitely, that's what I do for a lot of projects. I like that Microsoft is really into open source, and that most of the projects that I use on a day-to-day basis are fully open source. And I always keep a close eye on the issues list to see what is changing. But even if you don't want to, double check the repo from time to time and see, the teams are quite good at keeping everybody updated on the new progress that they have made. So simply keep an eye on the repo and see how it evolves. And I think this is very, very powerful in the near future.
Yeah. And once SpecKit's been evolved, you can do a lot of things, even to production. You can create production application with it as well, and integrate it into your CI/CD, your development lifecycle.
Yep. So this really could help you a lot with at least part of the applications that you have to write. And then you will get the situation where people were talking about years and years and years ago, when I was, I won't say when I first joined the industry, but there have always been developments where you can actually specify what the user wants and have systems being generated. Well, I think if I now look at the status of AI and look at things like SpecKit, that can come true to at least for some portion of the applications. There will always be parts of applications that you will have to work on your own to make sure that they comply with everything that you want. But a lot of simple applications, things like SpecKit, can really do wonders.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, is there any last words that people for people that don't know about SpecKit or GitHub Copilot that you want to tell them?
The best advice I would give you: simply start experimenting with it. You can get a free version of GitHub Copilot. And no, you can't do everything that I showed you with it, because you do need a premium version license for that. But please be kind to yourself, and please start investigating in how can I apply AI in my day-to-day job. Because, just to repeat myself, you will not be replaced by AI entirely, but you will be replaced by a developer who knows how to use AI in the future if you don't keep up to date. So that would be my call to action. Start working with it, start experimenting with it, so that you will get some knowledge, and just keep a close eye as well on Microsoft Learn. There are some very good modules there where you can learn how to apply AI and learn how to work with GitHub Copilot. And even, although that are Microsoft MVP, also sometimes from time to time look at what the others are doing, because of course Microsoft with Copilot is in close competition with all the other AI applications. So do keep an eye on what's happening there, because this is not going away. This will be part of the development experience and development workflow. So do get to know how to use it so that you will not be replaced by a developer that did take time to learn how to use AI.
Yeah, that's amazing as well. So thanks a lot for joining this episode, John. So I hope everyone learned something about Get Copilot Custom Agent and how useful it is, and learn about some like the spec kit as well. So you can just try it out in your own time. And as it evolves, the GitHub product will be evolved, and you can do amazing things in production. And you can also use it as a prototype as well to demonstrate something like for like hackathon as well. So it's very good. Okay. No worries. And see you tuned to the next episode. Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.